Hey y'all, so as promised I'm going to show you how I made this lace frontal wig from start to finish, and I'm using hair that I purchased from AliExpress from a retailer called AliExpress Hair. The frontal is in the color 613 and it's 8 inches, and again this is 100% virgin human hair from the company AliExpress Hair, and I got bundles in the inches of 12, 14, and 16. And then also you're going to need some clips, some T-pins, a dome cap, your trusty needle and thread, and of course a pick comb for parting. So I placed my dome cap on my wig head. I'll link down below where I got this from. And this closure is super cool because it has baby hairs, it's pre-plucked, and it's already the knots are already bleached. So really most of the work is kind of done in that sense. So really all I just kind of did was just plop it onto my wig head and making sure that the edge of the frontal kind of goes a little bit further than the dome cap, so you can see where, you know, kind of see where it's kind of going a little bit further than the dome cap. That's what you want. And then I just kind of comb everything back, and then I just clip everything in place so that I don't have any loose hairs getting in the way. Now all I'm gonna do is just take my needle and thread, and I'm just going to, well actually first I put the T-pin to hold everything down, obviously, so nothing's going anywhere. And so once everything's secured, I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing. So obviously I'm taking my time to secure everything right here. Okay, you guys, y'all get the point, y'all get the point. Alright, so yeah, there we go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing, and I'm just going to start from the bottom and then make sure the knot is actually within the dome cap, so I don't want any like knots to show and whatnot. So I just kind of start from inside the cap and make my way through the closure. And I like to do the over or the underhand method because I feel like it just kind of like is easier. I don't know, it's just, I think it's all preference, to be very honest, but for some reason it's much easier for me to do this, but oftentimes I'll switch over underhand. But when you are sewing, of course you're going to want to do the train track method, which I showed you in my previous video where I put together a 360 closure wig, and basically all you're going to do is just simply, you know, go underhand or overhand, however you please, but then when you're bringing the needle through, make sure you bring it through the loop before you close it off. So it creates kind of a really secure train track, that's what I like to call it, but it makes sure that it's very, very much secure to your dome cap. So basically just pull and loop through, pull, loop through, pull, loop through, so that's basically it. And then once I get to the very end, I'm just going to go ahead and knot everything together so that the thread does not come out whatsoever. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to take my first bundle, which is the longest one, the 16 inches. And then one important thing to note is that when sewing, you don't want to go through the elastic. You just want to go through the top portion of the fabric, because when you do go through the elastic, it makes it a little bit tighter, so it's harder to kind of, you know, put it on your head. As that was my first mistake when making my first wig. I pulled it through the elastic and therefore it was just like so tight. But if you have a smaller head than I do, this might not affect you as much. One other important thing is that I definitely think a dome cap that is or like a wig head that is around the same size as your head, it definitely helps to make it more of a custom wig. One of the things I did last time was I used a styrofoam head, which was way too tight, so y'all didn't know that, but I was just sort of still kind of learning myself, even though I've made wigs before, but more so on my head. But then now I have learned from the past mistakes and I am moving forward. So I'm gonna just go ahead and, you know, sew everything through the weft first, so as to lock everything in. And as you see, I'm using my underhand method and my train track method. So going underhand, looping it through the loop and pulling and securing and looping through and pulling and securing. And then also one thing I forgot to mention is that I do cut my tracks. I know a lot of people don't like to cut their tracks because it kind of sheds or makes the wig shed, but I do like to cut them just to length. I will say that I might in the future just go ahead and fold over my tracks because there was quite a bit of shedding throughout this process and kind of like tangling. As you can see, the hair was kind of getting everywhere. One remedy I used was just to kind of spray the hair down with a water bottle occasionally, just so that the hairs were a little bit more tamed. But it was definitely a very wispy wig, I will say. So lots of frizziness, but it was nothing too unmanageable. And then here you can see that I doubled up the wefts, which wasn't the best idea because towards the end I kind of ran out. As you can see, there's a little bit more of a gap, but it actually all was, you know, worked out well. I also ran out of thread, as you can tell. Like, my thread is completely different, but I didn't feel like, obviously the beauty supply store was closed at this time, so I had to just make do with what I had. But definitely will prepare much better in the future. So I will say, if you have 4 bundles, I think that you could definitely get away with doubling some of the tracks. I kind of got a little, you know, excited and thought, oh, I don't need all this, but I definitely did need all of it. So I wouldn't double it if you have only three bundles. But pretty much I make my way all the way up to the top, and then I just sew the very last piece to the back of the closure. It is okay to leave a bit of some space when you're getting towards like the top of your hair, just because it's really not, it's going to basically be the back of your hair, because everything's going to just kind of close, you know, all the hair is just going to kind of close all the gaps and things like that. So it's okay to leave a tiny bit of space. And so I just sew in an elastic band, and I just plop that on my head real quick. And this is after I dyed it and, you know, did all of that fun stuff. So check out that video. I'll post it in the description box below. But I just cut off the excess lace, and then of course I take my powder and blend everything together. And this is the final look, and I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. Bye.